This is an Archer and Olive bullet journal, and this is a notebook therapy bullet journal. These two brands are both very popular, very high quality brands of dot grid notebooks, but today I want to answer the question, which notebook is the best for bullet journaling and which one is my personal favorite? Let me know in the comments below which one you think is going to be my favorite, and I'll answer at the end of this video. But let's get into it. So I'm going to be judging both journals on 3 criteria: design, performance, and cost. Let's get into the design portion. And first, let's talk about the packaging. These are the 2 individual boxes that each journal came in. These are both eco-friendly, sustainable packaging. They can both be recycled, and I like each design for its own merit. I think they both are super beautiful, and these are boxes that I actually keep, obviously, because they can be used for holding stickers, ephemera, etc. Now, just from the first look, these are both very beautiful journals with lovely designs on the front. I specifically chose this Archer and Olive journal because I have at least 6 of them by now, but this one is super similar in that similar colors, rose gold design, etc. So I'm pretty sure this is the vintage rose or rose gold journal by Archer and Olive, and then this is the Suki Nara journal by Notebook Therapy, and both of these journals will be linked down in the description box below. These are both A5 size journals, but I do want to note that Notebook Therapy's original bullet journal size is slightly smaller than A5, so you make sure that if you're going to purchase an A5 journal, you have to specifically choose that on their website. Both journals obviously have an elastic enclosure along with 2 bookmarks, but as you'll see, Notebook Therapy's are just plain ribbon bookmarks, while Archer and Olive's does have one with a special ampersand on it because that is their brand. Additionally, the Archer and Olive journal has a pen loop on the side, while the Notebook Therapy journal does not. From the touch, this is a linen cover by Archer and Olive's. It's more of a scratchy linen feel, whereas this Notebook Therapy journal has a much softer cover. This is soft brushed cotton, and it has more of a suede-y feel. However, I have purchased other journals by Notebook Therapy before, and I know that usually they do have the linen cover. This is just a special edition based on the Suki line, I'm pretty sure. There is also a special design on the spine of the Notebook Therapy journal, as well as a logo on the back cover, whereas the Archer and Olive journal is completely blank except for the main design on the front. Cracking open each of these journals, first let's look at the Archer and Olive one. So you open up and there's immediately this book belongs to page. As you can see, I've obviously written in it, and I'm going to cover my contact information, but this is their design. Whereas in comparison, if you open up the Notebook Therapy journal, this is what their covers look like. I did draw in most of these leaves myself, but it is a slightly more minimal design compared to Archer and Olive's. These are also both rose gold design, which is kind of different. Usually I'm more of a gold person, and primarily on both of their websites, their designs on the front are in either gold or silver. I just so happen to have journals with both rose gold on them. The Archer and Olive bullet journal is actually one that I've used before for 6 months, and I just bought the Notebook Therapy one, so I'm going to be using that one for the next 6 months. If you haven't seen my new bullet journal setup, by the way, it'll be linked in the description box below, so you can go check that out. Both journals have 160 GSM paper, which means that it's relatively thick, and although some very watery paints will likely ghost through, most water-based markers will not bleed through at all. We will do a pen test though to make sure that you guys can compare those two. Additionally, this Archer and Olive journal has 160 pages, although they do sell journals that are available with 192 pages. I've bought them before, they're just slightly thicker. Whereas in comparison, the A5 Notebook Therapy journal has 176 pages. So it's kind of somewhere in the middle. If you need a little bit more than 160, but not a full 192, there are 8 extra pages in this journal. Both journals do have a back pocket as well. Oh, and turns out there's actually something in this one. So there's space back here to store things, and there's also a back pocket in the Notebook Therapy journal. Also in this back page, there is a quote on the Notebook Therapy journals, and I'm pretty sure it's a different quote for every journal based on the theme of the cover page, whereas the Archer and Olive journals do not have that at all. Additionally, every Notebook Therapy journal comes with a little gift. In the back, they always come with an individualized, customized paper clip to match the theme of the journal, and this one that I got is a little deer, which is so cute, and it matches the deer on this one. While there isn't usually little gifts like that inside the Archer and Olive journals, I have gotten one journal before where they gifted a free Archer and Olive grid spacing sheet. You can measure the different centimeters and different box sizes, etc. I made an entire video about this. However, I've only gotten this in one of the 5 to 6 journals that I have with Archer and Olive, so it definitely is limited edition, and I don't know if it's still available and comes with any journals anymore. Another thing to keep in mind with design is the type of designs they have on the front of their cover. Obviously, I did mention that these are both super pretty, but of course each journal has a different different color cover and a different design. Personally, I do prefer the designs from Notebook Therapy just a little better. I used to say Archer and Olive, but their designs recently have been changing, and I just happen to find that my aesthetic matches more with the Notebook Therapy journals, but that is 100% personal preference, and definitely take a scroll on both their websites to just kind of see the little designs that they have available, because there are so many different options for you to choose from depending on what you like on the cover of your journal. All right, so now let's get into more of the performance part of this video. Okay, so whoops, I'm looking through this journal and I realized I don't have many free pages in the back, so I'm gonna use this page, but I'm actually gonna turn the journal upside down so I can use it like this. Don't mind anything. Okay, first let's talk about the performance with Archer and Olive. So let's label this pen test. It's certainly not the first pen test I've done in the Archer and Olive notebooks, but I want to make sure that we're doing an even comparison with this and Notebook Therapy. So first, of course, pulling out most of the normal everyday pens that we usually use. This is the Pilot G2 ballpoint pen. Then we have an Ohuhu fine liner in the size 03 and a Pigma Micron, which is writing very weirdly. It's kind of an old pen. I'm sorry, I don't use these very often anymore. And this is in the size 05. Jumping into calligraphy pens, this is the Tombow Fudenosuke hard tip, and also one in the soft tip. I think it's pretty obvious that white gel pens and pencils aren't going to bleed through paper, so I'm not going to test those. Now let's talk about some very common brush pens that I see people use. So first, let's do Tombow brush pens. And with these, I'll do a single and then a double layer. So here's a light pink in the color 772, I believe. As you can see, it's scratched off. Here's a single layer, and then here is a double layer. And then we're gonna do a Crayola Super Tip, which is also very popular. Markers, these obviously aren't really calligraphy markers, so to speak, but they're nice because they are quite inexpensive. Last, let's do the Ohuhu brush pens, which I was just sent recently, and I love the color range on these ones. A single layer, and then let's do a double layer. Okay, and so these are all water-based markers. So just to be fair, I am going to test a couple alcohol-based markers because obviously they're going to bleed through a little bit, but I want to just double check. Here, let's write Ohuhu alcohol markers, and I'm just going to do one layer, and then let's draw another line to separate, and then at the bottom we're going to do watercolor paint. My handwriting is getting so bad in this video. Oh my gosh. So here is a Mei-Lang watercolor set that I was gifted. As you can see, there's actually water in the pen, but I'm gonna try not to use too much water just to be fair. Let's take this brown color right here and do a little swatch. I am doing multiple layers just to be fair because I want the pigment to still actually be visible when you're painting in your journal. Okay, so now I'm gonna set the Archer and Olive journal aside, and let's do the exact same thing for the Notebook Therapy journal. While we're here, I do wanna note that both journals have the same size dot grid. There are 26 spaces horizontally and 38 spaces vertically, and both journals have I think it's ½ centimeter distance between each dot, if that helps you any at all. All the stationery I'm using will be in the description box below if you're interested in checking any of them out. I would not be showing pens that I don't recommend, so I do like all of these pens for different reasons, and I also have an entire playlist of videos for bullet journaling stationery recommendations and stuff like that if you're interested in checking that one out as well. While I go through this, I do want to talk for a second just about like the differences in the companies, because I do feel like Archer and Olive is more of the generally more popular brand. It's the one that has, you know, more YouTube videos about it, more people have been buying it. It's just a company that I feel like people talk about more, and Notebook Therapy has been more of a, in the past couple years, more recent up and coming company. I'm not 100% sure which company is like literally older, but I feel like people have only been talking about Notebook Therapy for the past couple of years. But overall, I do just genuinely am loving the Notebook Therapy experience for the past couple weeks that I have been using their journals. I have been a long time Archer and Olive fan. I have used their notebooks since the beginning. Basically 2021 is when I first ordered an Archer and Olive journal, and I've loved their company for the past couple years. I think both of them have their differences, obviously, but it is important to keep in mind that I think Archer and Olive has gotten more hype, and Notebook Therapy deserves some love too. All right, here is the final lineup. It may be hard to tell, but we have Archer Archer Olive here on the left and Notebook Therapy on the right. Both these pages have completely dried, so I'm going to take off these clips and let's look at the ghosting. Please ignore the stuff over here. Like I said, I've used this page before, but on the Archer Olive journal, literally nothing bled through except for the alcohol marker, which I expected. This is only one layer of alcohol marker, so that shows you how penetrating that ink can be. And if you look, there is a little bit of rippling right here. So no ghosting from the paint, but there is some rippling from the water used, but nothing much at all. In comparison, here is the final Notebook Therapy journal. So like I said, yeah, there is some bleed through with the alcohol marker. Of course, that is to be expected, but surprisingly, there is not as much rippling. In fact, almost none of rippling right there. If you tilt it in the light, you can kind of see there's a little more texture right there, but not much at all. And if you show these two side by side, there is slightly more darker color in the Archer and Olive journal. However, that could also come from how hard I pressed down on the pen. Tried to be even, but of course we're humans, so literally they are so similar with the pen tests, almost perfect for both of them. Like I said, both journals performed beautifully, but the last thing I want to talk about is cost, because I know that is something that everyone does need to keep in mind when purchasing journals like this. I do want to make a little disclaimer. These are both high quality, popular journal brands. If you cannot afford a journal like this, totally understandable. I've made many videos about cheap stationery ideas and options instead of using the more expensive brands. If you need something more cheaper, there are lots of pretty good quality journals out there that work just as fine as these do without that high price. So I'll link a video like that down below if you're interested in seeing some cheaper options. But just face value, most Archer and Olive journals are about $36. Now this will obviously differ if you have a journal with 192 pages, if you have one with special added things like gilded edges, and of course if you get notebooks in different sizes, or if you get different paper, because I know Archer and Olive does offer journals in craft paper or black paper rather than the white. Notebook Therapy, on the other hand, this journal is about $30 flat, so $6 cheaper. They obviously also do change the price based on the size of journal and the type of journal, etc. that they offer, but generally this one is cheaper. Additionally, it's important to take in account shipping. So Archer and Olive only offers free shipping if you get over a certain amount in your checkout. I'm pretty sure it's $100 or $125. Once you get that much, it is free shipping. However, Notebook Therapy is always free shipping, which I completely appreciate from their brand. Archer and Olive does ship from the US. In fact, they ship from Texas, so that's quite convenient for me. So it does actually take a lot less time for this journal to get here compared to the Notebook Therapy journal, which ships from Japan. So it does take a little longer. However, I do appreciate the fact that shipping is still free despite it being international, so something to keep in mind when you're comparing these two journals. So in the final conclusion, which notebook do I think is my favorite? Which do I think is best for bullet journaling? Drum roll please for the winner, and the winner is Notebook Therapy. Both notebooks are super high quality. I think they tick so many boxes. They each have their own little individual things about them. Like this one has a pen loop, while this one comes with a free paper clip. And the paper quality is of course amazing for both of them. As you saw, the only marker that really officially bled through was an alcohol marker, and that's expected to go through something like 160 GSM. It probably goes through watercolor paper, which is 300 GSM. So not much comparison there. However, just for the cost, I feel like Notebook Therapy is cheaper, and I also like their designs better compared to the Archer and Olive ones as of late. So while it's a super close tie with both of them, if I had to choose my number one, it would be Notebook Therapy. Let me know in the comments below which journal you prefer, if you have either, both, neither, and of course subscribe because I post bullet journal and productivity content every single week. And if you want to see more bullet content from me, definitely check out this video here on the screen where I set up my July bullet journal setup and used my new Notebook Therapy journal to set up all of my spreads for the new month. I love you guys so much.